Welcome back to Aaron's 1972 Datsun 510, and today we're going to start putting some Bondo on some of the plug welds, and then we're going to refit the front suspension as well as the cross member in order to get it going. So I'm going to start by putting the Bondo on, then once that's done, or once that's dry, I'm then going to go and put on the front suspension, go back, sand some of the Bondo down, and get it ready to go. Let's get to it. We hit a turning point yesterday in the project, which is I finished welding in the final parts of the front frame rail. So that means I am done with large rust repair. There is some small rust that I'm gonna have to fix, but I'm just so excited. So just if you haven't watched them yet, I have like 55 videos or something ludicrous before this that are all about like getting the car up to this point in time. I suggest that you go back and watch them. Sorry about the noise from the neighbor, but I'm just too excited. So as a celebration, I went through and like reorganized the garage as best I can. There's still way too much stuff in here, but man, I'm excited. I'm really excited. You might be asking yourself why I don't fix and replace all of the suspension parts before I put it all back together. The answer is I really need to move the car around and do all that stuff, and I've got some steering parts, but I don't have all of the parts. I need to order the idler arm rebuild kit, which I haven't done from Techno Toy Tuning, and so there's a few parts that need to come in, and I really want to get the car back down on the ground, be able to roll it around, and be able to button up the outside and the inside, so that way I can sort of have a together project that I can then work on pieces at a time, sort of packetize or episodic, go at a more episodic approach to the upgrades to the car. So that way these episodes are a little bit more like, I'm going to do this today, this is what's going to happen. But with that, let's go ahead and get into the car. Well, that took a bit longer to get these bolts just back into place than I thought it would. But now I've done that, I've got the extra jack stands out of the way. I can go in and now I'm going to sand down this area. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect. I just wanted to at least smooth this stuff out just a tiny bit before I lay down the paint. So now that I've got that done, I'll go ahead and go from there. Do something else, come back in and put the suspension, front suspension back on, as well as the hubs and all that other good stuff. I have several coats of 2K primer on. Now I gotta let it sit, then I'm gonna sand it, and I hit it with some base coat. First time I'll ever spray this base coat out of my gun, so we'll see how it goes. I mainly just want to get the floorboards and the rocker panels done so that way I can get the interior put back together and go from there. Sounds pretty good. Also, this hardware is not fully installed. It's tight, but it's not actually like torqued down to spec, and some of it is just finger tight. Again, I want to be able to move the car around if I need to, and so this will help me do that. Again, I don't even have like the front brakes set up currently, so I know all this. I'm not gonna drive the car. This piece, this front suspension piece is in. Gotta do the other front suspension, but I gotta give it some food, which you don't care about. So the next thing I have to do is I need to get the trunk seal that was originally in it out of the car. So as you see, I oh my gosh, I just saw, like, I think I saw a rust hole. So I gotta peel this whole thing out, right? And throw it away. But then as I am working on it, like, how do I get this out? And so I thought to myself, maybe I can use a heat gun. So if I warm this piece up, that actually didn't take as long as I thought it would. Right before I sped up, I'm sure you heard me say, ooh, rust. That was probably the most polite way that I could put this. Check this out. Yet some more rust. Oh man. Part of me wants to just sand it back and then just fill it with fiberglass. Be done with it. It's not critical. Oh man. Alright. That wasn't that bad. The heat really helped lift up the glue that was holding down the weather stripping. So, like I said, that actually didn't take as long as I thought it was going to. But now I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do about these rust holes. All right, off camera, I sanded down the surfaces on the inside of the trunk as well as the floorboards with 320 grit. I am going to hit the rails, the rocker, the inner panel, and then the trunk. While I did paint, or I did spray primer onto the rear fender, I am not done with the rear fender, so I will get some incidental coating on there, but main concern is the floorboards, the rocker panel, as well as the trunk. Trunk and inside are really the main things here. I can do the rest of it after I set up and get the trunk and the inside. Looking at the tech data sheet, we need one. It's an 8-to-1, so 8 parts here, 1 part reducer, and then 1 part MH101. That is what we are doing. So we will work on that, and I will mix it up. This is one set of the paint, and then I've also got this, but I will save that for later. I'll use this smaller can first. So I'm going to give it a good shake and mix it up. And then as we're using these paint cups, I went over to 8 and then 1-to-1 ratio. And so you look here, if I want to do 1 or 2, then you fill it to the 2 line, and then fill it to that 2 line, and fill it to that 2 line, is the way that this works. So for the 2K primer that I use, it's a 4-to-1. So if you look here, if I did 1 here, I would fill it to that next line, 2, 2, so on and so forth. So you can also just go straight mix if it's an easy one, like 400 milliliters and then 500 milliliters if you were doing a 4-to-1 like I did with the 4K. I mixed up way too much primer earlier. But that's how we do it. Again, so I went through, did 180 grit and then 320 grit on a sanding block for the floorboards as well as the trunk. So then I hit it with the tack cloth with this Prep-All to get rid of the wax and get it ready. And you just sort of keep wiping. From what I've read, you keep wiping until it comes away clean. Whenever it comes away clean, then you know you're ready to go and paint. So that's what I did. We're gonna mix it up. I'm by no way an expert, so please continue to read, look at stuff. Don't just take my word for it. Well, that paint went a ton faster than I thought it was going to. Where the 4K primer seems like I mixed up way too much, this stuff didn't seem to last as long. But the main thing I needed to do was get a coat on the floor, get a coat on the trunk. I didn't even do the rocker panels. It didn't even, like, I clearly didn't have enough paint. But let's take a look. Supposedly 16 hours till dry. So I'll leave it alone, although it could be tacky before then, right? It's tacky right now. Inside the battery box, I'm not super worried. You can clearly see, if you look closely, like there's some crud in the paint. I'm honestly don't care. It is one solid color. It's got some level of protection here. There's going to be Dynamat type stick down here for sound deadening anyway. Again, I just wanted to get a reasonable coat here so that way whenever the carpet got moved around it would still be similar colors. The point is I can now let it dry, put the interior back together. Whenever I get the interior back together with the carpet and all that other kind of stuff, I can then tape a barrier here and then paint the outside, and I'll move the like this to the middle of the garage, do some sanding, and probably put it back the next day, do some more, etc. But check it out. All one color, all the actual stock color of this versus what it was. So I'm pretty excited. It's not perfect. If you're a painter, I'm sorry to hurt your feelings, because I'm sure this probably scarred you somehow. I didn't do a good, so if I were gonna take notes from me, I didn't clean my gun good enough between 2K and this. I saw a little bit of crud coming out of the gun whenever I was cleaning it after the fact. That was, so do a better job than I did. Make sure to run reducer through your gun a couple times, get it cleaned out. But other than that, it's the trunk. It's gonna be good. Taking some notes, do a better job on the outside of the car. I'm so excited, guys. So excited. Now I can put the trunk, or I can put the gas tank back in. I can put the seats in. I can put the carpet in. I can put all that stuff in, and I can get it back together. I can put the battery in. I can move the car around if necessary. This is good news, guys. Good news. Thanks for watching.